All right, kiddos, we're going to review standard form, expanded form, and exponential notation. The first one that I want to focus on is standard form. That's just the normal way that you're used to seeing numbers. Okay, so if I asked you to write the number 1,279 in standard form, just be 1,279. Just the normal way we're used to seeing it. All right, expanded form. I like to say expand it, rubber band it. So we're stretching that number out like a rubber band and we're putting our plus signs in. So the expanded form, if we have that number 1,729, we'll start with our biggest place value, which is 1,000. We put the plus sign in, 1,729. So we have 1,000 plus 700 plus the next place value is the 20 and the last place value is the 9. So expand it, rubber band it, we're just stretching that number out. Alright, the trickiest one is exponential notation. The exponent in a number in 5th grade, our base number is always going to be 10. The exponent is the little number that we write up on the top. So if we were writing 10 to the 3rd power, this is how we would write it in exponential notation. Now what that little 3 means is that we take our base number, 10, we multiply it by itself 3 times. So when we see 10 to the 3rd power, what we're really doing in our brains is 10 times 10 times 10 3 times. Another way to write that is just to copy down your 1 and add that exponent, our 3, add that many zeros. So 10 to the 3rd power is the same as 10 times 10 times 10, and it's also the same as 1,000. That exponent tells you how many zeros. If we were writing 10 to the 6th power, we copy down our base number and we're going to add 6 more zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 10 to the 6th power is equal to 1 million. And again, that's just taking 10 times 10 6 times. So that's what our exponent tells us. 6 times. Now where it gets tricky is when we're multiplying by an exponent. So for example, if we have 7 times 10 to the 2nd power, the first step is to take 7 times 1, which is 7, and we add our exponent. That's how many zeros we add. Okay, if we're doing 8 times 10 to the 5th power, 8 times 1 is 8, and our exponent tells us how many zeros. We have 5 zeros. So our answer is 800,000. Now we're going to practice writing numbers in all 3 different forms. So if our number is 875, the first way, the standard way to write it, just stays the same. 875. That's the standard form. Expanded form, remember, expand it, rubber band it. We're going to start with that biggest place value, which is the hundreds place in this number, and write down the value of that 8, which is 800. And we're going to put our plus sign in. We're done with the 8, move over to the 7. That 7 is in the 10 spot, so that represents 70. And we're done with the 7. We're going to move over to the ones place, and that 5 is just 5. All right, now the trickiest one, the exponential notation. Remember, the exponential notation has that little exponent. So our first number, the 8, we're going to start with 8 times 10, because our base number is always 10. And if we look at how many zeros are going to be followed by the 8, it's in the hundreds place. And the hundreds place has 1, 2 zeros. So our exponent for the first one is going to be 2. And we put that in parentheses. And we add our plus sign. We're done with the 8. We move next door to the 7. So we're going to do 7 times 10, because our base number is 10. We're always going to start with that 10. If we look at the number 70, how many zeros does 70 have? Just 1. So our exponent for this one's going to be 1. And we put that part in parentheses. We're done with that 7, so we move next door to the 5. If we look at the 5, we're going to start with our 5 times 10, because we always have that times 10 in there. And in just the number 5, there are no zeros. So our exponent for this one's actually 0. And that's all. All right, let's try one more together. We'll look at the standard form first. Remember, that's just the normal way we write a number. So if we were writing 26,389 in standard form, it's just 26,389. The normal way we're used to seeing the numbers. All right, expand it, rubber band it. We got to stretch this number out. So we start with the biggest place value, which is the 2. That's worth 20,000 because it's in the 10,000s place. Then we do our plus sign. Done with the 2, move over to the 6. The 6 is in the thousands place, so that's worth 6,000. Done with the 6, move over to the 3. That's in the hundreds place, so it's worth 300. Done with the 3, move over to the 8. That's in the tens place, so it's just worth 10. And the last step is the 9, which is in the ones place, so it's just worth 9. So expand it, rubber band it, we stretch that number out. And the last step, the hardest one, we have to write it in exponential notation, so it's going to have an exponent. Right now, our biggest place value is the 2, so we're looking at 20,000. Okay. Right now, we're going to multiply that 2 from the 20,000 times 10. But remember, it has to have an exponent. So if we're looking at 20,000, how many zeros does it have? 4 zeros. So our exponent's going to be a 4. And that goes in parentheses. Then we put our plus sign in. We're done with the 2. We're going to move over to the 6. So we're going to do 6 times 10. That's in the 6 is in the thousands place. So if we're looking at 1,000, there's 1, 2, 3 zeros. So that tells us our exponent is 3. That step goes in parentheses. We put our plus sign in. We're done with the 6. We move next door to the 3. So we're going to start with 3 times 10. 10 is our base number. The 3 is in the hundreds place. So if we look at how many zeros we have 2 zeros. So our exponent for this one is 2. All right, we're done with the 3. We're going to cross that one out and move next door to the 8. Put our plus sign in. We start with 8 times 10. So we always multiply by 10. The 8 right now it's in the tens place, which just has 1 0. So our exponent is 1. Done with the 8. We're going to move next door to the 9. Okay. We're going to start with our 9 times 10. 9 is in the ones place. The ones place doesn't have any zeros, so our exponent for this one is 0. That's how you write it all in exponential notation.